Speaking of headlines,
Yeah.
which I was hoping death and destruction came to this one dictator. Do you want to play the audio you sent me earlier?
Oh, sure.
So I got wind the other day. I was told my wife that something was going on with Russia. And I was like, what? And then I find out that the Wagner Group, the mercenaries that Putin hired to go and fuck up Ukraine, were now making a march towards Moscow.
Right.
Now I heard, what's his name? I can't pronounce his name. Anyway. Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner Group, and
Yes.
around 50,000 mercenaries? And
Yeah,
troops?
I mean, they're basically the Wagner Group, as they call
The
it.
Wagner.
Wagner. They're like special ops, and they weren't like a part of the regular army. So the Wagner Group could operate in foreign areas. But, I mean, on a global scale, these guys kick ass. Right. And apparently this Prigozhin guy, who's the leader of the Wagner Group and like one of Putin's boys for a long time, thought he had the support of the oligarchs and the people of Russia to oust Putin. So what he did is he went and like 5,000 of them, I think, started to surround Moscow.
Right.
And then basically the rest of them ran. And the oligarchs who he thought he had support from fled the country. And then he was just left there like a dummy. You know what I'm saying?
I thought Putin probably bought him off.
No, he didn't have the level of support that he thought he had. Like he thought he had the level of support that was represented. He was like, well, if I do this, it's obviously a death sentence. So you're going to be there, right?
Yeah, we'll be there.
And they weren't. And neither were the people. Neither was the Wagner Group. Only like 5,000 of them showed up. So they never actually made the move. But the 6,000 people showed up, and then they were basically busted. And I guess
They thought they were going to go checkmate him.
Right, exactly.
See, but I was hoping when I saw that, I was like, oh, shit, they're going to fucking get rid of Putin, which I was hoping they would.
Well, so Prigozhin has now been exiled to Belarus.
Where is that a death sentence?
It's not really a death sentence. It's just that you can never come back to Russia.
But Russia occupies a lot of Belarus, don't they? Isn't that a Russian occupied, like?
I don't know. It's just that's where this guy's been exiled to.
If you don't think Putin is going to have him killed in some capacity, because that right there, though, the fact that he was able to
Who knows if that's even the real story?
Right. But the fact that he was able to even get that close to Moscow with troops and tanks.
Well, he's a military commander.
Right. But I've been seeing that, this it weakens Putin in a sense, because once again, he thought he had support.
Right.
But people do support probably the removal of Putin, but probably weren't ready to
say it,
risk their lives yet.
Yeah.
But I think that, just like this war has put damage and people's minds are going. I mean, think about people who have family members that are being just live sacrificed for the military. Just like, you're going to die. They're not getting the food support they need. They're not getting the weapon support they need. It's just a fucking train wreck.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
And it's a pointless war, even though, as we've talked about on this show, that Putin did give plenty of warning. You do this, I'm going to do this.
Well, to me, it looks like the West is pushing a regime change.
Like
they did with Saddam.
But I'm kind of for it, though. I mean, Russia is but will Russia ever be an ally?
But I just think that the psyops of the media, I mean, Putin never did anything to me, for example. I'm not saying they're friends. I'm not saying I got to be friends with Putin or like Putin or what. I just say, leave it to the people of Russia who the hell they want to be in charge.
It's true.
You know
if
what I'm
they didn't
saying?
want Putin in power, they could probably remove him.
Yeah, why has it got to be up to the West? Like, why do I have to pay a piece of 200 bill? You know what I'm saying?
It's not my circus, not my monkey.
RFK Jr., presidential candidate, was saying that we signed that we wouldn't do that. And yet we have been. And we ultimately pushed him into this. And now guess who's the greatest spender of the defense? So it's obvious that the West is trying to push a regime change. I just don't know if who you get is worse. And we got our own problem. That's my whole point. Why don't we fix the shit here in America? Like, why do we have to give a fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why do I even have to care?
Why don't we get some of the poor people
Yeah.
In L.A.?
Yeah.
And fucking, where else is it just running rampant?
San Fran.
Yeah, I mean, like.
All the major cities. Here in Atlanta.
I mean, yeah, the homeless. Why can't we feed some of these motherfuckers?
Right. Why don't we build housing? You know, I mean, there's so much that we could do for our own country, strengthening our own borders. We'd have 15 million people come across the border since Biden took office. You know, whether you like Biden or not, that's just the way it is, right? So a lot of people are for open border. I mean, just saying, we've got our own set of shit. So anyway, you want me to play this?
Yeah.
Cyber attacks on public infrastructure threaten the institution.
Oh, just fucked it all up.
That's a great story, Ben. And that's the type of hard-hitting journalism you get here at ManFUzed.
That's right.
This is a ManFUzed Productions podcast.
So breaking right now, Vladimir Putin now meeting with the heads of Russian security services after speaking to the people of Russia about the uprising that occurred over the weekend. Senior Foreign Affairs correspondent Greg Palkot live from Kyiv with the breakdown of what Vladimir Putin just said to the Russian people. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Martha. Yeah, remarkable stuff. We'll give you the breakdown, and really the breaking up of society is what Vladimir Putin talked about, and he claimed that he had avoided it. Let's just step back just for one moment here, remind our viewers what happened over the weekend. The Wagner mercenary group, head by Yevgeny Prigozhin, left Ukraine, went into Russia, took over a big city there, then went up to Moscow, got within about 120 miles of it, turned around when they said there was a deal, and actually withdrew. We heard earlier today, Martha, from Prigozhin, and he said in an audio message that, in fact, he wasn't trying to topple Putin, and he was sorry about those 13 Russian soldiers that they killed, but he had a problem because he thought Putin was trying to get rid of his force, and he also had a problem the way Putin was running this war. Well, that happened a couple hours ago, Martha, and Putin wasn't going to let that stand. In a recorded message that ran on state TV, which we just saw a few moments ago, Putin responded. Let me give you a rough paraphrase of a key part of this message. He said, and I'm quoting here, from the very beginning of the events, all necessary decisions were immediately taken to neutralize the threat, to protect the constitutional order, life and safety of our citizens. An armed rebellion would have been suppressed in any case. He went on to say, the organizers of the rebellion, betraying their country, their people, betrayed those who were dragged into the crime. They lied to them, pushed them to death under fire to shoot at their own. It was this outcome, fratricidal, that Russia's enemies wanted. So basically, Martha, Putin is raising the specter of civil war in his country, and he is claiming that he's the one that avoided the civil war, and headed that off. He was a little bit vague about the future of the Wagner force. He said they could either sign up with the Russian military or go to neighboring Belarus. Remember, in that deal that ended this all on Saturday, supposedly Prigozhin, the leader, would go to Belarus, and it's unclear exactly whether he's going to go, because Prigozhin didn't say where he was going to go. So it seems like
this
number
guy's
one,
boring me.
So anyway,
that guy doesn't know anything about the economy of words.
Point being, you know, why is this our fucking problem? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't fucking know.
I mean, to me, it's a distraction.